Welcome to What Is She Thinking? I'm Melanie Marshall with my lovely co host, Dr. Heather Collins. Today, we are talking about animals. We want to know about pets, we want to know about wildlife, we want to know about every creature that roams on the earth, the sea, the air, because we love them and we know you do too. And who amongst us has not looked at our pet and thought, what is she thinking? So, Dr. Heather, isn't that what, like, come on. We had an episode the other day where we started getting into animal cognition, and it is such a rich area that we all wonder about, right?
It is. And it's so interesting because we don't speak the same language as our pets. And so we can't ask them, what are you thinking? We have to infer it from their behavior, how they interact with us, sounds that they make that we try to interpret. So it's definitely anytime we interact with an animal, it's an exercise in trying to figure each other out.
Well, I don't know if you guys can see here, but my lovely dog Sonora has joined us for this recording. And I recently did teach Sonora to speak. She has become one of those dogs who uses the buttons that you press, and she will press certain buttons when she wants to go outside, when she wants to play, when she's hungry, or when she wants snuggles. I could have taught her more things, but I stopped because she has become so into using these buttons. It was literally making me crazy. Like, I was waking up to her pressing play outside. And I wanted to reinforce the behavior. So I'm like, okay, well, I better do it. But I started to think she was training me. So is she a genius? Because I think so. But also, what the hell's going on there?
Yeah, well, of course, your beautiful baby is a genius. Of course she is. And, I hate to tell you this, but she's also training you. Interesting thing. So this is how learning works, right? Especially amongst animals and dogs in particular. They're really good at associative learning. That is taking one thing and linking something else with it. And so we have outside, and then what happens after she presses that button? You take her outside, and so she's linked those two things. And
don't keep going.
Then you've learned, I better take her out. Now, something interesting happens, which is that in order for optimal learning to take place, which sounds like you're well on the road to that, you don't have to take her outside every single time. You could actually skip a time and have what's called a variable reinforcement schedule, and she'll still learn it. And by the way, that's the same kind of reinforcement schedule slot machines use to get people hooked. So it's very effective.
Oh my God, same thing. Social media, slot machines, Sonora.
Yeah. So she doesn't need for it to happen. She's quite smart. You have a close relationship. She doesn't need for it to happen every time to learn that it's probably going to happen.
So, but when she is doing what I've found like crazy is when she started to do play and outside, when she wanted to play with a ball outside. Like, for her to make the two connections. Look, I had a beloved dog before that I used to tell people he was a genius. And I'm sure other people can connect with this, where you tell people, your child, your dog, your cat is like the best that ever lived. Now, I look at my beloved dog, Dobby, and I think, well, he had a pure heart. I look at her and this ability to associate more than one thing together and how quickly it happened. And I think, wow, is there more going on in her brain than I think there is?
There's a lot going on in her brain. And it's interesting. We talk often about, are animals intelligent or are they not intelligent, as if it's this absolute thing. They have it or they don't. And also as if there's one kind of intelligence, and there's not. There are multiple intelligences, right? And what we can think of is animals are very intelligent and very good at doing what they need to do to survive. And dogs evolved to cooperate with humans. to work with us, to live with us. And that has changed over time. And we don't use dogs just for hunting, for example, anymore, like perhaps our cave dwelling ancestors did. But we really live with dogs. They're our family and our friends. And there's an emotional bond there too. So there's a lot of close learning happen. I'm really curious with that outside button. Does she differentiate going outside to go potty versus going outside to play? Is that why she's doing play and outside at the same time?
Yeah. She does play outside when she wants to go and play outside.
Yes. So she's letting you know when she hits that outside button all by itself, she means business.
So when you're talking about different kinds of intelligence, I find that super interesting. Can you say a little bit more about that in a way that someone like me will understand?
Yeah.
Because I find that's one of the things that fascinates me. I've been really close to a lot of animals in the wild. I've been lucky enough to have that experience. And you can definitely feel it. If you're standing next to a herd of wild elephants, you can feel they have intelligence. They have social intelligence. They have deep intelligence. And it is so different from ours. How do you, as a neuroscientist, explain those differences to your average bear?
Well, let's think about it this way. Let's pull back for a second. And I think it's a little bit easier to understand what we call multiple intelligences in humans. So I'm really good at, I have a lot of intelligence regarding science in the brain, right? But if you ask me to fix your car, it's not going to go very well. So I don't have intelligence in that area. And so we can't just assume that there's intelligence, generally speaking, overall. It's directed towards specific needs for each person, just like it is for each species. So dogs are really intelligent in the way of interacting with humans in particular. In fact, dogs understand us better than just about any other species. Elephants have a different kind of intelligence. And birds, by the way, are a great example, right? So birds are extremely intelligent when it comes to building nests. I can't build a nest. Can you?
No, I'd be bad at it.
Sonora can't either.
If you and I had like a sip and sew kind of craft,
twigs, sure. And some poor bird would probably come by and just be horribly offended at how bad it was. Because we don't need to do that for survival, and neither does Sonora. But birds have to do that for survival. So they're incredibly skilled at that. And I love that you brought up elephants. There are a few species that are kind of special to me and how they interact with each other and the kind of intelligences they have. And elephants are one of those. And elephants are so interesting because they have some things we don't have. Their brains are significantly larger than ours. And in fact, that doesn't mean they're smarter than us in every way. It just means that it's organized in a different way. And with brains, it's not all about size. Size does not always matter. It's more about organization. And for example, elephants have amazing spatial memories, right? So they can remember where water holes are that they visited years ago. And in fact, they actually surpass potentially most humans in that ability. We might not be able to remember water holes from many, many years ago. But if we remember a water hole, we might remember who we were when we first saw that water hole. And that's something elephants don't have. Elephants also have incredible social bonds. And I've seen elephants live, but not really in the wild. And I can only imagine that you've observed that firsthand.
Yeah, I remember being in Zimbabwe out in the country. And it's a story I tell because I'd had a very long night editing, and we'd been up all night. We used up all the gas in the generator. We'd finally finished something, and then London had screwed something up. And I called London on a sat phone in a real snit. And this guy who worked at this bush camp kind of appeared out of nowhere and just leaned over and said, "Shh." And I was like, "Don't you shush me. I don't like being shushed." I was like, I did sort of say something like that, released with my face. And he looked back at me again. He was like, "Shh," quite insistent. And I had this moment of oh, there's probably a reason. And so I looked over my shoulder, and there's an entire herd of wild elephants behind me. And I just said to London, like, I'll call you back, and hung up. And so, I mean, it was incredible. These matriarchs, these babies, this entire community. And they gave me this look like, calm down. It really was like, are you a threat? Are you going to keep this up? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm so sorry. I really was. I actually was like apologizing. I'm so sorry about that. I didn't see you. I'm so sorry. And I was able just to stand and watch and observe after I made it clear that I backed off and watched as they played, as they guarded their young, as they interacted with each other. And that was, I think, the thing I noticed the most was that social intelligence they had.
Oh yeah, their social intelligence is just phenomenal in that they were probably able to, because of your behavior, sense that socially you were not a threat as soon as you calmed down.
Yeah, as soon. And thank you to that lovely man who made me not be a total a-hole. And also one of the most awe-inducing experiences of my life. Like, it was incredible. I have also, so I ended up swimming with wild dolphins about a year ago.
Okay. Just another routine Melanie Marshall experience, ladies and gentlemen. You know, as one does.
Well, because we were out looking for whales, and we'd seen a whale, and then there was this amazing pod of wild dolphins swimming off the coast of Mexico. And the guy who was running the boat said, "Do you want to get in?" And I didn't even think about it. I didn't really have my bathing suit on. I just stripped right down, jumped in. And there were other people there. I wasn't being it wasn't like insula crazy, Heather. It was, but I stripped right down and jumped in and was swimming with these wild dolphins it was incredible. They couldn't have cared less about me. A few of them came up to check me out and like to say, hey. And I just was like, hey, like, nice to see you. But they were interacting with each other. They were swimming in this huge group, and they clearly had such intelligence. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I know we do this thing where, and I'm sure I'd love to hear what you think, because obviously we project a lot of intelligence that doesn't exist onto our animals, right? Like, you'd probably say we do that all the time. But there is also, in a case like a dolphin, a higher form of consciousness or ability to think, right? Like,
well, I don't. Let's not say consciousness. That's a little bit challenging. Okay. They may or may not have it. It's tough, but the intelligence of dolphins is undisputed. And in fact, you found one of my other favorite species that I like to talk about is dolphins. So dolphins have brains that are significantly larger than ours, but also more complex. So their brains are more complex than ours. And they're one of the few species that passes a self-reflection test, where an interesting test of really, I don't want to say animals who have consciousness or have a sense of self, but animals who are, really up there and kind of know something's going on that's beyond themselves, is called the mirror test. Mm-hmm. So let's say we take red lipstick, right? And we dab red lipstick right here on the forehead of an animal, and then they look in a mirror. And animals who don't possess self-reflection will think that the critter in the mirror is another critter. It's another dog, it's another cat, it's another creature. Animals that do will point not to the mirror, but to themselves. Or if they're not able to point, dolphins don't have fingers, they attend to that. They know something is going on themselves, that it's not another creature in the mirror. So they are remarkable, and they also have really sophisticated communication skills. So you might not have been able to describe their intelligence, but maybe they were describing yours.
Yes, and it was so. But what was also interesting is 2 or 3 weeks after that, I was out having a lunch at another wacky thing I was doing. And there was a woman there who, it turned out, she used to be a dolphin trainer. And when I told her about what I'd done, she said, "Oh my God, that was so dangerous." And she said, "Those dolphins could have turned on you in a heartbeat. And, they could have decided they didn't want you there. They could have decided they wanted to, like, physically or sexually abuse you."
Yes.
I thought I'd had this magical experience.
Those bottlenose dolphins.
And I thought to myself, good Lord. I said, well, maybe it was because they were in there and I was more polite. I didn't have them stuck in a pool trying to make them, flip around for tricks. I was in their environment. But it was interesting because it did make me think how we always assume the intelligence will go a good way. And we don't do as humans, we go good and bad. So why wouldn't higher intelligence in an animal occasionally break bad, right? I love the stories. I love the elephants who have a grudge, and I know I shouldn't, but where they have a grudge and they hunt somebody down, and then they hunt them down again, and then they go to their village and they stomp it. I'm like, holy!
You don't mess with elephants. They're not messing around. They mean business. I have another story of Breaking Bad related to that. One of my best friends from grad school, her college job way back in the day was she used to watch over the orcas at night at SeaWorld in Orlando. And she has so many stories of the orcas messing with people, as did the trainers. And so, the intelligence goes, both ways, good and bad. They are capable of deceiving and tricking humans and getting the best of them and messing with them, really just for the fun of it. And I don't know if you've followed this bit of news about orcas, but there are some orca pods who have been engaging in trendy behavior. So you know how trends come and go in our society? Well, they come and go in orca societies too. And one trend amongst certain orca pods in certain locations that I shall not be revealed here, look it up if you want to know specifically, is that they actually mess with boats, and they'll go by and tip boats and roll boats just for kicks and then move on.
I love that. I love that so much. I'm so sorry. I do always cheer for the animal.
I do too.
I
always.
Always. But it, to me, it's hard for me to understand that intelligence can exist without consciousness. Okay, for me, I find that hard to understand, that they can be that smart and have that what you call trending behavior. They can have behavior that they pass on to other groups of orcas, right? Because that's not all the same orca. It's not like one bad orca, right? It's a bunch.
It's a pod, because they're social creatures as well. And in fact,
what
orcas,
I mean is it's that thing where where a bunch of them are attacking boats. There's been more than one pod that's done that.
Oh, yes.
So if that's true, then that is not just one pod behavior. That becomes social or almost cultural behavior.
Oh, yeah. And animals definitely have cultural behavior. Elephants, as you've experienced, are well known for this. But the interesting thing is now that just because they have cultural and social behavior doesn't mean they necessarily have consciousness. With respect to consciousness, in the particular case of dolphins and orcas, they very well could be fully conscious. It could just be that we are not able to adequately capture that and measure that and verify that. So that could be on us, not them.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's on us.
Yeah, some animals are difficult to study, and orcas and dolphins certainly are difficult to study, especially in the wild. So that could be on us.
When we say consciousness, maybe we should just describe what we mean. When we say consciousness, I mean that they know that they are a being.
Yeah, that they have they know that they are an independent being separable from the world outside of them. Oh, Sonora's getting cozy. She's a little bored with our conversation. She's getting cozy. Now, the interesting thing about the orca trends that you mentioned about orcas passing on trends, well, this actually happens with dogs and cats and too in our houses. So if you've ever spent any time on Instagram or TikTok looking at animals, which is my favorite thing to do online is look at animals, there are these socially contagious behaviors in animals. One of the most hilarious ones I saw was there was a cat in a household and the family adopted a new cat and both were adult cats. Well, the new cat came in. They have 2 food dishes right there. And the new cat has a bizarre way of eating in which it actually lies down on its side and eats instead of sitting in a very low fashion like cats normally do. So old cat said, that's interesting. Now old cat has adopted that behavior and does the same thing new cat does, lies on his side to eat out of his food dish.
I love that. Can we talk about cats? I want to talk about cats and I want to talk about the love we have with animals before we finish. But we haven't talked, and I want to I've got three big things. Let's talk about cats, because the fact we haven't is a crime, because you are a cat lady.
I am a cat lady. I am a cat lady. I love cats. I have had cats for the past 26 years. Cats are amazing. I love them. Are we? Okay. Well, this is one of the difference between dogs and cats. Now, listeners, when we were talking about this episode, Melanie said, you have to bring Porter in. And I said, you live with a dog who cares about making you happy. I live with a cat who cares that I make him happy. And you may have heard the phrase, dogs have owners, cats have servants. 100% true. So as such, I'm going to recruit help and actually ask my husband to bring him in.
Yes, perfect. I love this. We want to thank Mr. Dr. Heather for his assistance in this fashion, because it was so funny. I have to tell you guys, it was so funny because I was like,
shaking treats, by the way, just to let him know there's something in it for him. Otherwise, he'll be really upset. Because I will clearly disturb whatever piece he's undergoing.
I am bipedal. Okay, I am someone who has cats, dogs. I will have anything. I want a horse. I want an otter. I want to have a honey badger because I follow them on Instagram. I want everything. But what I love is that when I told Heather she had to have Porter on this episode, she was like, well, you don't understand. Like, we have to negotiate. We got to talk to his agent. Like,
he may be napping. Come in.
Yeah, exactly. His afternoon nap. Like, it was so funny.
Here.
Come, Porter.
He is protesting. His full name is Harry Porter, by the way, because he's very hairy, but he goes by Porter. He is 18 and a half years old. Come here, buddy. Come here.
You want to have a treat? You're going to represent all cats.
Can you pick him up and hand him to me?
He's too interested
in his
food.
I know. I'll give him another treat.
Come here, baby. You can have another treat. Hi, baby. Hi, Porter. So, Porter, what do you think about the intelligence of cats? So I just want to show you that this is a world-class cognitive neuroscientist reduced to below cat intelligence because she is now serving him.
Good boy. Good kitty. Who's my baby? Good boy. Thank you.
He is so pretty.
Thank you for your service, sir. And one out the road just to let him know.
So how would you describe cat intelligence? Because there is intelligence there, and it's very
different. Well, every animal has some degree of intelligence, or they wouldn't have survived, right? And with cats, it's really interesting. For the longest time, people thought cats, quote unquote, weren't as smart as dogs, which I find highly offensive. But that's not the case. And increasingly, there's more and more research to show that cats are, quote unquote, as intelligent as dogs in the sense that they can engage in problem solving behavior. They can engage in goal directed behavior. It's the key difference is motivation. So dogs are motivated to please humans. Cats are motivated to please themselves. And that's why earlier when you were talking about training and how Sonora might be training you, yes, Porter has also trained me for sure, for sure. He's in his retirement era, and when he wants to go outside and sit on the porch and overlook his fiefdom, he will meow at the door, and we definitely need to let him out. Now, we have also trained him that it's good for him to come back inside when we call him, and we give him treats when he comes inside. So it goes both ways.
I love that, though, that cats are it's the motivation. It's motivation behind pet intelligence. I have a friend who is a cat lady like yourself, who is now, like, her dream has come true. She's now surrounded by cats. She's like, allegedly, she's like, oh, I've only got like 2 inside. And I'm like, but you have 7 outdoors. But when I told her about teaching Sonora to use the talking buttons, she said, can you teach my cat, Sahaba? And I thought to myself, probably not in a month of Sundays. Like, what are the odds that a cat would want to talk?
You know, it would. Well, the other thing is cats don't like noises. And so for them to press something that makes a noise is not great. It's possible. I would say there'd be a lot of treats involved. I'm not going to say it's impossible. It's possible, but there would have to be a lot of treats involved. And
yeah, okay. It's not going to be the 20 minutes.
It's not going to be as easy as Sonora. Sonora is super excited about going outside when she presses that button.
She also seems to like learning, like genuinely. It is bizarre. I've never seen a dog this smart. And I know that makes me sound like one of those owners, but it does, which gets me to this part about how much of the intelligence that goes on is this bond that we have with our animals. The reason we wanted to do this episode. Like, there is a perception of intelligence, and there is this shared bond that really matters between us and the animals we encounter in the wild, but specifically the animals we choose to live with or choose to care for. So there's something in that I find really interesting. We create this shared intelligence between us and our pets, right? Like, there is something there.
We live with them, we love them, we care for them, and it's this shared bond. And the more we learn them and the more they learn us, the closer that bond becomes and the easier it is to live together. And look, honestly, it also just feels good. It also just feels good. You can pet your dog or cat for 5 minutes and it'll release oxytocin. And oxytocin is actually what bonds newborns and mothers after birth. So this is a bonus. You can bond with your dog or cat like that. You don't have to give birth to them. You can just pet them for 5 minutes and get an oxytocin boost. Living with dogs and cats is a pleasure. Having pets is linked to all sorts of health benefits, including lower blood pressure, lower stress. And for especially people who are a little bit more sedentary or older folks, having a dog to walk gets them outside and gets them exercise, and that's really important too.
But there are brain benefits, though, right? A good old fashioned dopamine, good old fashioned oxytocin, like those are real things, right? Those are real connections. And animals have
the dopamine is pure. It's really the oxytocin and serotonin. That's really what bonds us, especially the oxytocin.
I think about when I was in Ukraine. I was in Odessa, and they at that point were really worried the Russians were going to come in heavily. So a lot of people were fleeing. And there at the zoo, there was this zookeeper who had this dog that was, I swear to God, it was a wolf. It looked more like a wolf than a dog, but it was so cute. And he was sleeping there because he needed to take care of the animals. He said, well, if I leave, who will take care of them? And all of these people who were fleeing, one of the things I remember from that time was how many of them were taking their pets. And this man was taking in all of the animals for people who couldn't manage to do it. So at the zoo, there was him, his wolf dog, all of the zoo animals, and like a collection of guinea pigs and parakeets and, people's children's hamsters, because he had this immense love and connection for animals, and all of these, and which was connected to everyone else, all these strangers. He understood what it meant to them. And that moved me so deeply. We always used to say that when you're doing a zoo story, that means the story's over. But I think that our connection with animals is something really deeply human in us. Our ability to care, our ability to find connection with another species is actually really quite amazing.
It is. And not only that, just being able to interact with and even observe animals, even if that is just in a zoo, really sparks awe and wonder and curiosity and appreciation for nature in all of its forms. And if you've ever seen a small child at a zoo seeing some species of animal for the first time, it is wild. I mean, even now, I sometimes am just baffled by the fact that I let a tiny, carnivorous, vicious hunter live with me and sleep next to my head every night. And it's a pleasure to do so.
I think that point about awe and wonder is so incredible. I love that. I have one question left, and then let's wrap it up with a few takeaways. Do animals have a hippocampus?
Of course they do. Of course they do. Not all animals, vertebrates for sure. But yes, and even animals who are invertebrates who don't have a hippocampus definitely still have memories and have systems of learning for sure. But yeah, if we're talking about Sonora and Porter, they definitely have hippocampi.
So people out there who are looking at their pets and thinking, do they love me? Do they remember me? Do they remember times we've had together? Probably they do.
They remember you, for sure. And even crows have recently been found to recognize humans that leave them food years after the fact and will engage in social behavior and bring those humans trinkets in exchange for leaving them food. Do they remember times we have together? Our cats and dogs probably don't. They probably don't remember specific instances. Like last week we went outside and played ball in the field. But if you take them to that field again to play ball, they will have a recognition that they know this place and they know this is a safe place where they play ball.
I guess that also means they probably don't remember if we accidentally stepped on their foot, right? Like they probably forget that. Everyone feels so bad. If you ever step on your pet's foot, it's like the worst feeling in the world. Please tell me.
That goes, they will remember something like that in the sense of, is this person safe or dangerous? And if you step on your pet's foot, they're going to avoid you for a little while. And that's okay, because you've caused them harm. You've literally caused them pain. Jesus, and so you're not safe to them. You're not safe to them for a little while. But the good thing is, every time you give them a treat, give them a scritch, give them some love, talk to them nicely, you rebuild that trust. And so you become safe and they'll love you again.
Okay, 2 weeks later, it's over, right? 2 weeks later, come on, give me a.
I'm not going to say 2 weeks, but in a lot of cases, probably sooner than that.
Oh my God, she's a harsh taskmistress, isn't she? Okay, so our pets love us.
When we say pets, let's say dogs and cats. I don't want to talk too much about parakeets.
Dogs, cats, horses.
Dogs and cats. Oh, horses are amazing. Dogs and cats and horses, I would say they love us in their own way, but their way of loving is not our way of loving. They're different things.
Well, that's better than I've been loved by men who didn't love me in their own way.
Oh, for sure.
This one loves me great.
When I scritched Porter and he rolls over and starts purring, yeah, I'm going to take that as kitty love. I'll take that. Okay. That's better than the way most humans treat me, so I'm taking it.
All right, so it's different love, but there is a connection. They do feel a connection to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just as you have a brain change, you get oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin, all those good things. They get a big oxytocin boost too.
Okay. But this is for any of us who are like, oh, I'm pretty sure I can pet that tiger and they'll love me. Don't do it. Like, don't try. You know,
we all want to, but don't
we
try.
all want to. And that's what happens when your Instagram feed is filled with animal stories. You're like, I can be the one. You can't. You'll lose.
Again, animal intelligence goes both ways.
It does. There was a guy who put his arm into a panda cage in China, got his arm ripped off. Even pandas. So there you go. I don't know if I want that to be my antidote. I'm really glad we had this conversation because I think it just helps us to think differently, but with respect for how the creatures we share our lives and the earth experience their lives. And if we can have more respect for that, if we can have more care and empathy, and also just enjoy the fact that there is a connection, then good on us. So like my takeaway would be get more pets, make a donation to an animal shelter today. And if you have the chance to go and see animals in the wild, do it. If you have a chance to go to your local zoo and experience the awe that is the diversity and magic of nature, do it. Because it reminds us that the world is so much bigger and more magical than we know. And we're just a small part of it. That's what I'm taking away.
Yeah, I would like to add, don't assume that we're the best just because we're human. We're humans because we're humans. And orcas are orcas because they're orcas. And dogs are dogs because they're dogs. And every animal has its own form of intelligence that helps it do exactly what it needs to do to survive and live. And our interaction with animals goes both ways. When you're looking at an animal or talking to an animal, it's registering that too. And when you go to the zoo, you're looking at that animal, but that animal is looking at you as its entertainment also. So keep in mind that just as they learn from you, you learn from them. And it's an interaction that goes both ways.
So I hope you've enjoyed Animal Chat, and we will be back next week with another show. But until then, go cuddle an animal. And thank you so much for being with us.